Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Little Thing Called Life with Gus. ChatGPT and LLMs continuously roll out updates throughout the year, making it very hard in distinguishing which new features are even worth talking about. So in this video, I'll cut through all that noise and extract only what is most beneficial for you. You're welcome. Instead of saying reasoning models are best for complex tasks, I'll show you the real-world examples of when to use, and instead, I'll just show you using real-world examples like when to use what features. Let's get started. First and foremost, choosing the right model. I'll make this super simple. Most of us should default to the latest O-number reasoning model with the cleanest name. To put it another way, just like with flight bookings, picking the one without the extra fees tacked on. I'm blurring the model number on purpose because they change too quickly to matter. The key is knowing when you need a basic chat model and when you need a reasoning model. Example number 1. How much protein should I intake if I weigh 200 pounds? A chat model will do this just fine here, and we don't really care if it's off by a gram or two. On the other hand, for something like act as a nutritionist and create a vegetarian breakfast with at least 15 grams of fiber and 20 grams of protein, we might need a reasoning model to think throughout those requirements. Example number 2. If I was to type in, who is the guy who said life starts at 40, everything before was just research, or something like that, the answer tells me that it's from Carl Jung, and I get more information about the quote. In contrast, I would like to ask reasoning model to act as a Peruvian historian and tell me why Eva Young is so popular in Peru. Since the answer is going to contain a lot of different information and a lot of nuance, this could carry out better as a deep search. Example number 3. For straightforward emails, when we know exactly what to say, chat models can easily turn our bullet points into something coherent and professional. But if you're dealing with a 20 message disaster where someone's upset, you're gonna want to upload the entire email thread as a PDF and ask a reasoning model to write a diplomatic reply. This last example disproves that claim that chat models excel at everyday tasks like emails. The model you choose should depend on the complexity of the task, not the type of task. Going full circle, most of us should default to a reasoning model since, worst case, we wait a bit longer for a better answer, and for me, that counts. 3 pro tips for prompting reasoning models. First, use limiters to separate information. For example, put your instructions under a task section and the content you want acted on. Under the documents section, this helps reasoning models differentiate between what you want it to do versus what it should analyze. Second, there's no need to include think step by step. The phrase helps chat models but actually hurts the performance of reasoning models. Back in the day, we had to do this. However, reasoning models already do that, so you don't need to tell them that any longer. The third example is optional. I know this is counterintuitive, but reasoning models work great with zero shot, aka zero example prompting. Add examples only if you're getting wrong results. Now, one of the most common questions I receive from you all is, Gus, do you sing in the shower? Well, no, I brainstorm business ideas and cry in reverb, but no one cares. But no, seriously, a lot of you do ask, Gus, do you know any local video production companies? And yes, and that's where today's sponsor comes in, LS&P Video. This video is brought to you by LS&P Video, where storytelling meets strategy. Whether you're a funded startup that needs clear, compelling videos to explain who you are, what you do, how you do it, or you're a large company looking for sales enablement content that actually connects, LS&P Video helps humanize your brand and drive action. According to Gartner, 75% of B2B buyers prefer a rep-free sales experience, and that number climbs even higher amongst millennials and Gen Z decision makers. That means if you're a SaaS product that doesn't support or have any self-service content, you're leaving modern buyers behind. LS&P Video creates video assets that helps your prospects discover, understand, and decide without needing to hop on a sales call. Ready to scale with video that works 24/7? Visit lsmp.video, and thank you LS&P Video for sponsoring this segment. All right, moving on to ChatGPT's web search feature. For example, ChatGPT with search enabled will give me NVIDIA's stock price with no problem. But opening up a new tab and typing NVIDIA's stock price is probably faster and gives us a better peace of mind. So when exactly should we use chat search? The rule of thumb is if you need a single fact, go with Google. And if you need a fact with a quick explainer, use chat or Perplexity search. Instead of just asking for the stock price, I can also input when was NVIDIA's latest earning call, did the stock price go up or down and why? And as you can see, not only do I get an interactive chart with the stock price, but I also receive all of this context. Example 2, what is the weather forecast in Washington, D.C. should go to the Google search. Whereas for weather forecast in Washington, D.C. from December 1st to 7th, what clothes should I bring? ChatGPT search will return a much more meaningful answer. Example 3 with a twist. Google does great with the latest vaccination rates, WHO. But if I wanted global vaccination rates over the past 5 years in a table format, ChatGPT search gives me exactly what I need. The cool part too is I can also ask follow-up questions like, wait, why are there multiple columns and not just one number per year? 2 pro tips for ChatGPT search. First, it does a fairly decent job for quick fact checks, and I'll leave the prompt I use in the description below. Second, just like Notion, you can use the / command to toggle on search from the chat box. Coming back to one of the most powerful features in ChatGPT. In a nutshell, deep research is an agent that wanders off for 10 or 20 minutes, reads through dozens, if not hundreds of links, and produces a detailed report on a given topic. Diving right into an example. Instead of opening multiple tabs and manually going through NVIDIA and AMD's and Intel's earning report, we can toggle on deep research and ask ChatGPT to analyze and compare the AI chip roadmaps for these 3 companies based on their latest earning calls. Or how about personal finance example? Instead of going through websites or different banks, we can just ask ChatGPT to analyze the top 5 high-yield savings account that are available in the United States, their hidden fees, and create a projection for someone trying to save $1,000 a month. The cool part is ChatGPT now allows you to take this a step further by being able to connect sources. We have access now to things like Google Drive, so that way it can do deep research and is able to draw from our private / proprietary information. In a business context, this unlocks extremely powerful use cases like generating reports on how our company's Q4 performance compares to our competitors, cite both internal data and external industry reports. Pro tip, deep research works best without detailed and comprehensive prompts, but since nobody got time to write that from scratch, we have 2 options. First, simply enter your research topic in this custom GPT from this awesome Reddit user to receive an extremely detailed deep research prompt template. You can then edit as needed. Or if that's still too much work for you, you can upload a PDF of OpenAI's deep research help article into ChatGPT project and use an individual chat to generate prompts for your research topic. As of the filming of this recording, I personally get better results from ChatGPT and Perplexity's deep research than Google Gemini. However, how fast the underlying models are evolving, I suggest testing both with the same prompt to see which one handles your specific tasks better. All right, moving on to the Canvas feature. The rule here is simple. Toggle this on if you're going to edit and build upon ChatGPT's response more than once. For example, when preparing for my performance review, I would enable Canvas, upload my company's performance rubric, and ask ChatGPT to draft an initial outline, knowing that I need to make further changes. After the outline pops up in the Canvas or the standalone window, I would first go through and delete unnecessary sections, input relevant achievements, and then follow up with unspoken yet universal corporate rule to inflate numbers for better ratings. Just kidding, no one does that. Next, I make initial edits by asking ChatGPT to rephrase specific sentences and paragraphs, and once I've listed all of my achievements, I can then instruct ChatGPT to generate an executive summary given all the context. By the way, Canvas is extremely powerful for coding, but since I'm not a programmer by trade, I mainly use this for copywriting tasks. 3 pro tip for Canvas feature. First, we can use the back and forth buttons up here to jump between versions. Second, we can use the built-in shortcuts within the Canvas window to make changes to either the entire document or highlighted snippet. I especially like the suggestion edits feature where ChatGPT will highlight different parts of our writing in order to recommend specific changes. Third, we can download the final output markdown format, and then after uploading the file onto Google Drive, we have a perfectly formatted text document in Google Docs. As a bonus feature for everyone who stuck around, here are 3 of my favorite commands for text-to-text models. First, use the word elaborate to add more detail. For example, elaborate on these 3 bullet points. Second, use the word critique to spot problems early. For example, I'm arguing for more headcount based on this data. Critique my approach before my presentation. Third command, use the word rewrite to improve previous content. For example, rewrite the second paragraph using a friendly tone of voice. If you found this video helpful, then you would probably want to know when and how to get better LLM outputs by chunking data and how to use shot prompting, and that video is right there for you to check out. Thank you so much for tuning in to an episode of Little Thing Called Life with Gus, and have an awesome day. Take care.